Right now, we have two main World Central kitchens in operation in Gaza and another 65 community kitchens spread throughout the Strip. Our main kitchens are in Deir al-Balah and Mawasi, and the one in Mawasi is named Damien's Kitchen after our colleague that was killed in that attack on April 1st. We are continuing this work with our Palestinian partners. We have about 400 Palestinian Response Corps members and hundreds of more volunteers that are working to feed everyone in Gaza. It's Palestinians feeding Palestinians. We are also working to distribute ready-to-eat meal boxes in Gaza, as well as hot meals. We had almost 100 trucks cross the border from Egypt last week, giving the team much-needed supplies to restock all of our kitchens. And this week, we plan to open a new supply route from Jordan. Our first convoy of 15 trucks is scheduled for today, and we'll get an update on that from John. Our local Jordanian suppliers are giving us rice, cooking oil, beef, and chicken. I do want to mention two special projects that we have ongoing. Eid al-Adha, the Feast of Sacrifices, coming up. And in this time of charity, social gatherings, and festive meals and gift giving, we are working to provide lamb as a protein, as this is a very common meal during this festival. So again, World Central Kitchen works always to provide culturally appropriate meals and give everyone a feeling of home and comfort, especially during a holiday time. We're also recognizing the month of Hajj. Supporters can send a meal to Gaza for just $3 a meal. And World Central Kitchen is proud to announce that we were recently certified Zakat eligible. So 100% of your gift will go directly towards sustaining our work in the region and directly to the meals, and it is Zakat eligible. So with that, we can open it up to questions on our operations for John. He knows the ins and outs of our operation, and so if you just raise your hand in the chat, we'll get started. Any questions? John, let's start. Oh, here we go. You see two raising their hands. Okay, let's start with Ellen Nickmeyer.
Hi, it's Ellen Nickmeyer with the Associated Press. Thank you for doing this. Can you describe you mentioned a route opening from Jordan. Can you describe what's involved in that? I'm not sure which route that is. I have a few questions. Another question I have is what's the effect of the kind of emphasis perhaps on commercial trucks going through Kerem Shalom? Does that influence what your group is trying to do in terms of getting humanitarian trucks in? And finally, can you just describe conditions in Rafah when last you all were able to operate there? I mean, just from on the ground, not the 30,000-foot picture, but on the ground, what you all saw there at the time, by the time that you had to shut the main kitchen.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the Jordanian route first. We have a lot of support in Jordan. The Kingdom of Jordan has been very, very helpful with us. We've donated to airdrops that we've done, and now we're starting to purchase food in Jordan. So we have actually 9 trucks that will be leaving tomorrow morning, and then another 6 that'll be leaving about 2 days later. So we've purchased bulk food in Jordan, oils, rice, flours, different types of meat, and what we have to do is we purchase it in Jordan, then we transload it in Israel. We put it on trucks right at the Allenby Bridge crossing, and then they'll bring it to Kerem Shalom, where it'll be offloaded in Kerem Shalom, and then it'll be inspected, brought in, and then we'll put it on the Palestinian trucks that we're working with, and they'll either bring our community kitchens to our warehouses, directly to our kitchens, any place where we're actively engaged in feeding people. Your second question was Kerem Shalom. While there was a brief pause, there was some political difference between Egypt and Israel at the time. The Kerem Shalom route has opened from Egypt and from Jordan. You're also able to bring in from Ashdod port. You can bring in through Kerem Shalom, and it's still the main gate to get into Gaza from the south. So while there is an invasion going on, there are different routes that we're using to get from Kerem Shalom to our warehouses in Khan Yunis or in Deir al-Balah. And as Linda said, we got over 100 trucks through the crossing yesterday. As far as the ground in Rafah, for the most part, we've evacuated practically all of our community kitchens, a lot of our people. We set up a camp for people that are displaced, that are working for us. But we still have about 8 kitchens kind of working in that Mawazi Rafah area right now, supporting as many people as we can as they're transiting north, because most of Rafah is really under siege right now, and there's not a lot of people that remain there at the moment. Most of the people have been moved up north into Khan Yunis and to Deir al-Balah. So, we were keeping a close eye on the activities there. We ended up closing our Rafah kitchen down, moving a lot of our community kitchens relatively early because we did expect this. So while there were targeted strikes going on in fairly close proximity to some of our places, we really took security seriously and moved our people out of there as quickly as possible. So yeah, Rafah is mostly emptied at the moment, and we're continuing to really focus in on that Western Khan Yunis and Deir al-Balah right now.
Do you mind if I ask a follow-up question on Kerem Shalom about how you're we've talked to aid groups, and I think the UN as well, who are saying that yes, I mean, this was the situation as of last week. I think yes, trucks could get in Kerem Shalom, but it was too dangerous. Israeli military operations and the various evacuation zones made it too dangerous for a lot of times for aid groups to actually come get the aid to distribute it. And we also heard suggestions that there's been quite an emphasis on commercial trucks coming through Kerem Shalom, and that it was sidelining traffic by aid trucks. Or could you discuss those two things?
Sure, and it really is day by day at the crossing. That while there was a missile attack on Kerem Shalom probably about a week and a half ago, which slowed things down. There is more commercial goods moving in now, which is fantastic news. But for the most part, we've had a pretty steady influx of our trucks able to get in. We had about 250 trucks sitting on the border waiting to get in while the border was closed, and we're down just about 120 right now. So we are moving trucks in fairly quickly. We're moving them through different routes to get them to where they need to get to, especially with our community kitchens and our kitchens. So it is up and down, but it's not. We are able to get trucks through, and like I said, we got about 100 trucks through just this past week.
Okay, thank you.
And
Thank
just so everyone knows, in the follow-up email, we'll have a map of where all our kitchens are in the strip and some new video from our warehouses in Deir al-Balah. Let's try Gordon Lubold.
Hi, thanks. It's Gordon Lubold from the Wall Street Journal. Two quick questions and then another one. Can you help us understand, when I was kind of traveling in the region there, the trucks issue was a kind of a recurring issue, which is there's just not enough trucks, not just for you guys, but for just in general to distribute aid coming in from across the border, because it has to kind of do tail-to-tail exchanges. Do you have some kind of an assessment from where you sit about just kind of the availability of trucks? First question. Second question is, are you guys, obviously the big new pier has been closed down for now, but were you ever planning to use the pier, ship anything through there? And then I'm just kind of curious your assessment there. And then my real question is, could you expand a little bit on your ability to scale, depending on what unfolds over the next few weeks or whatever, to potentially scale up significantly with the infrastructure you have, to really get, aid in there? Thanks.
Sure, Gordon. I'll talk about the pier first, because while we were the first ones to deliver maritime aid, we have since not participated in what they call the J-lots, which is the American pier. We feel it's a lot easier to bring in truckloads of food, and we're able to do that at a pretty good clip right now. So we really haven't engaged with the J-lots. That's mostly coming from Cyprus. While we do have a lot of goods, a lot of food in Cyprus, because we were planning on doing more. What we're probably going to do is move that through the Ashdod port and down into Kerem Shalom. Can you repeat your last question for me so I can make sure I answer that correctly?
Sure. Well, I had a question about just the availability of trucks generally. That was one. But then the broader question was just kind of your ability to kind of expand a little bit on your ability to scale up depending on how things unfold over the next several weeks.
Yeah. So the great thing about World Central Kitchen is we were there early. We were one of the first groups really working, really pushing to feed people. So we made a lot of good relationships there. We have a lot of Palestinian people that are really supporting us. And so we find that we have enough trucks to do what we need to do. Sometimes the routes are more difficult. I mean, listen, we're in an area where there's millions of really hungry, desperate people. So it can be an issue just getting trucks to where they need to go because of the sheer number of people that are on the streets. But we've done a fantastic job of reaching out to community leaders, of moving times around that we're transiting goods. And we've done a really good job of being able to get a good supply chain from the Kerem Shalom border to Deir al-Balah, Khan Yunis, even Rafah when we're doing a lot of work there. As far as the expansion, we just signed another lease for another kitchen. We'll be doing that today. So we're always looking to expand as much as possible. And while WCK Kitchen has our own bigger kitchens, I think one of the beautiful things that we're doing is we're really working with a lot of community kitchens. So Gordon, we're sending in trucks of equipment, of fuel, of food, of washing materials, of trash cans, of brooms, so that we can go to different groups, different camps. We can find 20 Palestinians that want to help, that want to volunteer, that want to cook. So we can drop this cooking equipment off with them. We can get them started with a couple pallets of food, and then we can keep resupplying them so they can make 2,000 to 3,000 meals per day. And it's just been a really neat story seeing these small community kitchens set up all over the place. And as I said, we're at 68. We'll probably be at 73 by the end of the weekend. And we're just going to continue to expand the pots that we have in our kitchens, the number of community kitchens, the number of communities that are helping us feed where the Palestinians are feeding the Palestinians. And we're big supporters of that because we feel it's just an awesome opportunity to engage with the communities and really get much needed food out to the communities.
John, why don't you run through the numbers on how many meals our two main kitchens are turning out per day, just to give people an idea.
Yeah, so I'll just give you some quick. I'll start with since we restarted, because I think this is an important point. Since we restarted on April 23rd and April 28th in our Rafah kitchen, which we had to move, we did about 243,000 meals, but we also had a bakery in there where we cooked 278,000 loaves of bread. Our Damien's kitchen, which opened up with the closure of the Rafah kitchen, has done about 85,000 meals through the month of April, and our Deir al-Balah kitchen is approaching about 500,000 meals right now. We're ramping up as we speak. Our Deir al-Balah kitchen's capable of doing 70,000 meals a day, and Damien's kitchen's capable of doing another 30,000. And we're really looking at the 40 to 50,000 in this new kitchen right now. So just hot meals with the WCK kitchens in the month of May, we've done about almost 800,000 meals, 797,000 meals, hot meals that we've brought to hospitals, that we've brought to camps, feeding IDPs, feeding first responders. It's all the above with us. We just want to make sure that people are getting these meals. And so the total amount of meals that we've done just in April with our community kitchens, who have done over 3.5, they did about 3.4 million meals. That's the little small kitchens. That's the small groups of people that are cooking 2,000 or 3,000 meals a day. They did 3.4 million and 401,000 loaves of bread. We also have worked with what we call ready to eat. So as people are being displaced, we're able to give them a box of food. It may be we plan on a 2-day box, which is a little bit lighter, easier to carry. We have a nice bag with food in it so people can kind of grab and go. And these are set up for, 2 days for 4 people. We also have 3-day kits. And during Ramadan, we are sending out Ramadan kits, which are really culturally appropriate kits where people who have the ability to cook at home, have the ingredients, have the product to cook, and all told, just in May, we handed out about 85,000 of these boxes, which equates to about 2 million meals. So all told, just since we restarted, we're at 6.4 million meals in the month of May, and just as a side note, we're also supporting Lebanon because there's a lot going on in the south there, and we've provided 141,000 meals to the people of Lebanon that have been displaced because of the unrest in the area.
Thanks, John. Gordon, did you have a follow-up?
I don't know, but I may think of one. And I'm doing some other reporting, so I may come back to you separately.
Sure. Feel free to email us at press@wck.org and we'll get back to you.
Thanks.
Okay, let's move on to Rosita. Rosita, are you there? All right. She's probably working on deadline. How about Natan?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go, Rosita. Hello.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. It's Rosita from the BBC. It's okay. I just wanted to say that there were 2 questions about the pier which you answered, and also about these allegations that more commercial trucks are going in than trucks, which you answered. They are going in, but obviously you answered it. That's fine. Not to worry. But it's interesting that people are also welcoming these commercial trucks, whatever goods they are delivering. So that's fine. Those questions people already asked them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Natan.
Hey there. Good morning. Can you hear me?
We
Yeah,
can.
great. Thank you.
Okay. Very simple and straightforward question. Do you use Ibrahim Organi's organization to deliver the trucks and loads from Egypt to the crossing?
What is the name of the company?
Ibrahim Organi.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know that we contract our logistics through a third party, and that name doesn't ring a bell with me. But I don't recognize that. I don't recognize that as a company name that we're using. But I can't say for sure. I'm sorry.
All right. Thanks.
Pop that over to us you have my email.
Okay.
And then we'll double check for you.
Thanks.
Let's head over to Tal.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We can.
This is Tal Schneider from the Times of Israel. I wanted to ask, what is the situation in the northern part of Gaza, Jabalia, and Gaza City, and the region which was under heavy, starvation a couple of weeks ago? And is it better? Can you reach there? Because Kerem Shalom is in the south and Rafah is in the south. So what's the situation up north? Can you enter trucks through Erez crossing in the north? And my other question is, how is your cooperation with the IDF and Qagat? Are they forthcoming? Are they helpful? Situation better with the coordination with them?
Yeah, I can comment on the north. We have not been doing a lot in the north. There's been because we're primarily focused on Kerem Shalom. It's hard to get to the north with our food. We have tried to find convoys that would take the ready-to-eat boxes that I talked about earlier. But because the northern crossing is now open, and it's not so much Erez, they call it Zikum, So Zekum is taking in food mostly from the WFP. I think Anera is doing some things, and they're doing some convoys through Zekum into the north. So we have not been doing much in the north, but that could change with that shipment that I talked about from Cyprus. We may reach out to some of these organizations to see if we can donate food to the north, because obviously we want to help as much as we can. And if we have the resources to do that, we'd love to be part of some of those convoys in the north. I can tell
part
you
of those the dozens of kitchens that you opened throughout, it's only based in the center and south, and not in the, you said about 70 community kitchens. It's not, okay.
we're not supporting any kitchens in the north.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in Deir al-Balah, Rafah, and Han Yunis.
And my question about the cooperation of the IDF.
Again,
Yeah, I can answer that. I mean, we are constantly talking to Colgat, who in turn is speaking with the IDF. We do have some conversations with the IDF, especially when we're talking about convoys that are moving as we collect goods and services, or as we collect goods and equipment, food and equipment from Kerem Shalom border. We're coordinating with them to make sure that the routes are clear, that they're aware of where our trucks are moving, that they know where we're going. We feel like that's very important to ensure the safety of our people. So we are in constant communication with them, and we're also in constant communication to bring in potentially generators or water filtration units, to make sure that we can help with all of the above. We can provide power, we can provide clean water. So we are in contact with them. We let them know of our every movements. We send them all the packing lists of everything that's going in. That's very important for the ease of getting food in, is to being very transparent about what we're bringing in and giving them a heads up on what we're bringing in. So we do have quite a few conversations with Colgat, and for the most part, they've been helpful.
Thank you.
awesome. And again, Tal will send out a map of where kitchens are so you can see where they're concentrated.
Okay. I appreciate also the numbers, because I did not really have time to write all of the numbers of the kitchens that you mentioned.
We will.
Thank you.
Allison, over to you.
Hi, do you hear me?
We do.
Yeah.
So I second Tal's request for all the numbers and details in writing, if possible. I actually missed the first couple minutes of the press conference, the overview.
Sure.
Actually, my question was similar to what Tal asked. But with the specific angle, when you're talking about the coordination, if there were lessons learned from the horrible tragedy where the workers were killed, if you had changed your procedures or logistics or tried to coordinate better or improve communications to try to guarantee that nothing like that happens again.
Yeah, that's such an important point, because I never want to have to go through that again. We had a lot of good security measures in place. We were always talking with people about our locations, but we've been obviously on very high alert to make sure that everything is checked and double checked, that even if there is a hint of even if there's a hint of an operation going on in an area where we'll be, we'll avoid that at all costs. I mean, it's just kind of redoubling our efforts to make sure that we're really stringent on our security protocols. Everybody is checking in, everybody is checking out as they need it, and just really making sure that we're paying attention to anything and everything that could put our people in harm, and really steering clear of those areas.
Yeah, and
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add, we did follow every procedure and do everything right on April 1st. So we continue to do so.
No, I wasn't doubting that at all. My follow-up question is, John, whether you've noticed like a change in or an intensity of attempts at coordination on the Israeli side, because I'm sure that they don't want it to happen again either. Have you noticed, I don't know, changes / improvements, doing things differently on the other side as well, or on the other side of the coordination?
Yeah, I can definitely say that they've really tried to go really tried to give us as much information as possible, especially erring on the side of caution. When Rafah was being evacuated, they were very quick to inform us, to let us know that, you know, we needed to evacuate immediately. They were very, you know, if things are happening, they're very quick to call us and let us know what's going on. And I think, again, it's just kind of redoubling our communication, making sure that we're communicating with them where we're at, and then there, if there's anything in any of these areas, they're also communicating with us. So a lot of conversation, a lot of phone calls, a lot of check-ins to make sure that this can never happen again.
Thank you.
Jeremy.
Yeah, the truth is my question was pretty similar to Tal's and also Alison's, but just in terms of the coordination efforts with COGAT, do you find that are there numerous coordination requests which are not granted, or are I'm talking about coordination requests to bring in aid convoys? Are there numerous ones which are refused, or which or are the majority approved to bring in aid?
Yeah, so there are cases where we may have paperwork that could be missing, or because we do have to translate a few times to bring things in. Maybe a pallet got on that wasn't. It's all food. It's all approved things, but it may not be exact. So we may have to go through a little bit extra coordination, which is not insurmountable at all. And it's, so yeah, I mean, it's just making sure that we're really crossing our T's, dotting our I's to make sure that we're communicating everything that we're going to be bringing in. We're checking the dual use list, and if there's something that we feel like it's important, and even if it's on the dual use list, we still make a case for it because it will help our kitchens, it will help our operations, and eventually will help us feed more people. So we'll really fight to get more things in there that may normally be kind of crossed off the list. But I think we make a compelling case, especially with all the work that we're doing, and they see that, they see what we're doing. So it's not that they're breaking their own rules, but they understand where we're coming from, and they know that we're going to be doing the right thing in there, and they'll generally help us make adjustments or allow these things to come into to Gaza.
Sure. Sorry for interrupting, John. And just throughout our activation in the Middle East, we're always adapting. So we created some stoves that run on wood pellets because they're allowed in. John maybe can talk a little bit about the pellets and where we're manufacturing them. And then another example is with these stoves, we used giant metal paddles to store the food, but those weren't allowed, so we switched to wood. So we adapt the best we can to the circumstances to be able to feed people.
Yeah, that's a good example. So as far as our stoves go, because we can't use propane, which we would normally use in any of our kitchens around the world, we developed these stoves that we can actually put these small compressed wood pellets in that we're purchasing in Egypt. These pellets are very compact, and you can put them in the stoves, and they burn a little bit more clean, and they burn very well. But also, in order to kind of supercharge that, we created a pot that has a fan with a solar panel on it, so we can actually, it's almost like a turbo where you blow air in, and it increases the heat even more, so we can cook even faster. And so those are kind of one of those dual use things where we actually went to COGAT, told them what we were doing, showed them pictures, gave them demonstrations, and we were eventually able to bring those solar panels and those stoves with the fans in.
Yeah. And could you talk about the Wonder Bags too? Because they're kind of cool.
Yeah. So especially when you're cooking like rice or beans, things that may need a little bit extra time in boiling water. So what we do is we'll put a pot on the stove, we'll get the rice up to boiling, and then we have these gigantic bags that we can take our pots off of the burners. We don't have to keep them on the burners. We put them in these bags, and they insulate so well, the rice will cook in the bags. So we can start moving another pot onto the stove. So instead of, 30 minutes on the stove with rice, it's 10 minutes into the bag. Next pot's on the burner. That pot's off into the bag. And, 20, 40, 50 minutes later, you have a pot of rice that's ready to go. So it's really supercharged our cooking with these specialty bags.
Did you have a follow-up, Jeremy?
No, that's okay.
All right, awesome. Tim,
Can you hear me?
we can.
Yeah, good.
Okay, great. Thanks for taking my question. A lot of the questions that I had have been answered already, but John, I was hoping to get a little bit more on the infrastructure. It sounds like you've developed some very the organization has developed very innovative ideas on getting around sort of a area with a lack of infrastructure. I was wondering, of like the 68 kitchens, how many of them are just operational without the sort of wood pellet cookers and all the other innovations you've brought in?
Of the 68 that I've described, all of them have those. All of them have those stoves. There are more kitchens out there. There's more organizations that are doing things. There's people that have brought equipment out of their homes that are cooking. It's really hard for me to say how many are out there or what they're doing, but certainly if we can support them with a pallet of food or a couple bags of rice, there's no stopping us when it comes to that. I'm just talking more about these established kitchens that we kind of put together on trucks here in Egypt and shipped into Gaza. But there's many more different ways that people are cooking in Gaza right now. I'm just really talking about World Central Kitchen and how we're supporting kind of at a bigger level, because somebody could, you've seen where you could put a couple rocks and some charcoal under a pot and you could feed a family that way. What we're really trying to do is increase that 20, 30, 40, 50 fold, so that instead of just taking care of a family, you're taking care of a community. And that's why we call them the community kitchens. That's why we're really supporting this, because the amount of meals, they're up to about 150,000 meals per day in these community kitchens all in. And it's just wonderful to see this in action. And listen, we're sending more. I've authorized more and more kitchens going in every day. We have a list of communities that have seen this, that want to take part in this, that want to cook for their communities, and we're just getting them things as fast as we can.
So it sounds like there's really not much kitchen infrastructure left for you to go into and actually use existing facilities.
No, there's very little. We're searching out warehouses. Sometimes we're searching out, parking lots where we can set things up and put a tent over it. It's really all of the above. We stopped looking for kitchens some time ago, and we're just really trying to get innovative on how we can get more stoves in there, and wherever we can fit them, we're going to do that.
And I had one other question, if I may.
Sure.
My understanding of like one of the complications of sending convoys through Gaza is that there's a difficulty communicating with the teams on the ground as they're moving. Has there been any improvement on that? Have satellite phones been working? Has COGAT or IDF given you a sense that you can use communication devices to stay in touch with teams on the ground?
I would say no. The communication is still pretty terrible. It's hard to talk to our convoys. We have a centralized control room that we use where people are calling in when they leave and people are calling in when they get there. Typically in our different areas, we are able to get internet in some places, so they're able to check in that way. There's some areas where cell phones work, some areas where they don't. It's nothing it's not the greatest communication, but that's why we're really tracking kind of the leaving, the arriving, and making sure that we're documenting everybody that's out there all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Over to Fabiana.
Yes, thank you. It's Fabiana Magri from Italy, La Stampa. First of all, I'm sorry I had trouble in connecting in time, so I hope there will be a recording afterwards. And I wanted to ask you, and again, I'm sorry if it was already asked, if from your experience on the ground, you would say that there is famine in the strip right now.
I think yes. I think there's some areas where food is still not getting to. I think there's a lot of areas where people are struggling to find clean water. I think there's a lot of areas where people are struggling to find food. It's happening. We're hearing about different cases of hepatitis, different diseases that are going on right now. It's really sad. It's really sad to see. So, yes, I don't know that I've experienced it personally, but from what I'm hearing, the answer is yes.
Thank you.
John, can you talk a little bit about our model of Palestinians feeding Palestinians and a little bit about some of maybe the people that we work with?
Oh, yeah. So I think Linda said this in the beginning. We have over 400 Palestinians working for us right now. And we've actually set up a model similar to what we would do anywhere, if we were in Morocco or if we were in Greece, if we were in Poland, of leaders, of qualified people that lead the culinary team, that lead the warehouse team, that lead the maintenance team, that lead the community outreach team. And all those positions are filled currently with Palestinians. And they have their own teams. They've created their own organizational charts. For instance, in our community outreach, we have at least 8 different teams of scouts going around each day. They're checking in with the community kitchens. They're looking at getting how much resupply do they need? Is their stove broken? Do they need to send in the maintenance team? And all of these people that are doing this are from Gaza. They live in Gaza. They're out there every single day helping their people. They're delivering food. They're checking in on hospitals to see what they need. They're looking for other areas of need. Where else can we set up community kitchens? How do we find 10 to 20 people that can cook for us? This is going on every single day, and it's the 400 Palestinians that we have that are really making this happen. We're doing everything that we can do to support them from Egypt, from Jordan, from Cyprus. But they're the ones on the ground that are making this happen, and it's really wonderful to see.
And I know what's motivating them, or talk about their mood, or what feedback are you getting on how everyone's doing?
I would say the team is extraordinarily resilient. I can't say that everybody is 100% every day, because they're not. We've had a lot of people that had to move out of their homes and had to move